Has your day-to-day teen slashing become mundane? Does haunting the dreams of your enemies for vengeance started missing a little umph? Maybe you need to add a little music, add a bit of song and dance to your mayhem. Here on the Punk Rock Horror Podcast, we'll tell you about the amazing history of horror musical theater and how adding some rhythm to the carnage will truly scare the establishment.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Punk Rock Horror Podcast. I'm Matt.
I'm Cody.
And today we're here to remind you that when it is blazing hot out and it's sweaty and your back sweat is just accumulating no other, to be really, really thankful for the rain. But helpful tip, if you don't have rain and it's still hot, I recommend getting a bandana or piece of cloth of some sort, wetting that bad boy and putting it in your freezer for like 5 to 10 minutes, and then let it rest on your neck or head and let the coolness fill your entire body.
I just lay on the floor naked and complain. Just, I'm melting.
Yeah, man, it's fucking hot. It's summer. I mean, we're in Colorado, so I guess we're viewed as complaining compared to a lot of other states that have, like, you know, are in the 3 digits, but...
You know what? I don't fucking care. I wear my mask, I can complain.
We don't live there, we live here.
Yeah, it's like, I don't have to deal with it here. I'm used to the cold, okay? Anything over 80, I hate it.
Well, you know, just jumping into it today, we are talking about musical horror or horror movies. Musicals. I know. I was talking about it, and I know it was kind of like, when are they ever gonna do it? And really, it was like the law. I was waiting for the moment to do it because I just don't like musicals.
I know.
And really, like, it isn't like it's a real biased thing. There isn't like a main reason why. Like, I don't have like a profound reason to argue with anyone why musicals aren't good or what have you. Musicals have never been my thing. I don't know why, but it's just anytime I saw a movie that had a song in it and they had to sing about what they were doing, I never understood. I'm like, I don't know why I need the whole song. Can you just like get through like a 3-minute convo with it?
No.
Why do you? So,
you have to have the 5-minute song for
Right.
the 30-second conversation.
Right. And I totally understand that it's like you have to be into like the theatrics of that, or like being into theater in general does help with that.
Yeah.
So maybe that also kind of equates to it. But I also think it was just because I was taken to so many Disney movies back in my childhood that I got tired of musicals fast. Like, because I was definitely the weird one out of like the, you know, entire age group, like, who just did not appreciate the Aladdin singing. You know, I didn't appreciate the singing, and what other. Now that I'm like trying to make my case for why I don't like them, like the only like Disney movie I could think of that came out in the 90s was Aladdin for some reason. That's it. All right. Okay. Anyway,
Tarzan.
Yeah, Tarzan. Oh yeah, I guess Tarzan. I'm willing to make there's few like Tarzan and Mulan are a few because I don't know why, but like the addition to Phil Collins for Tarzan made me appreciate the music a little more. I'm like, wow, if this doesn't make me white.
I wanna know, can you show me?
I wanna know if the strangers like me. And then also, I enjoyed Rosie O'Donnell.
Yeah, Turk.
Wow. Well, I guess that wasn't really as much Rosie O'Donnell as it was still mostly Phil Collins, but because it was her character also singing it, I'm just like, this really compliments like my hyperactive attention disorder.
And then Mulan, it's probably because there's only 3 songs.
Actually, there's a few more songs that I like to Mulan. Like, believe it or not, I do like the opening song of when she's talking about like her. I forget the actual name of the song, but it's like her commitment to her family and loyalty and honor. Show and like you'll bring honor to us all. That one's a banger.
Yeah.
And then Man Out of You. That one, I think that's I'll Make a Man Out of You.
Yeah.
The one with Donny Osmond.
Yeah.
Like that one was really good too. There's actually a few more songs I like in that one too. But yeah, I don't know. Those are like the only 2 that I can really make the exception for. Atlantis doesn't count because there are no musicals in Atlantis.
Yeah.
So I think that's why I really like Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Treasure Planet.
Same thing. I don't think there's really
I don't
much.
think they're singing in the animated one. I know
I don't think there is. I'm gonna have to watch it again.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Maybe there is, but I don't think it's like over the top as like some of the other ones.
No.
But again, that's just me. But hey, man, talking about musicals, going into it today, we got to play a horror game, and I got one for you.
Okay.
That I'm gonna play. So I figured to keep with the whole aesthetic of musicals and the fact that last show we had I was making an album collection of all of the serial killers that I could think of from horror movies. I figured that this game should be about musicals.
No
all
way.
right. So
It's like it's planned.
it's like go figure. So the game I'm going to call is in the name. Horror musical. So, here's the deal. You got, I'm going to pick, who would I want to pick? I'm going to pick Michael Myers in this case. I'm going to give you a difficult one.
Okay.
And Michael Myers is coming to you and says, I am going to kill you. This is the first time ever Michael Myers has chosen to talk. So appreciate the moment.
Oh, wow. Thanks, Michael. Now I know this is serious.
Yep, you're welcome.
Is it because I have a crush on your sister?
No, it's because I'm going to kill you regardless. But I'm willing to save and your soul.
Which, by the way, this is how I imagined Michael would talk. Like, he's so terrifying, he would have to have a voice that did not go with his terrifying
like in
bravado.
Up, the guy, the Doberman that has the tiny squeaky voice.
Yeah, exactly.
And so I just, alright, well, if you don't want me to kill you, I need you to sing me a song.
So,
Okay.
what is the song you would sing to Michael Myers to keep him from killing you? It's okay. It doesn't have to be like a full-on like a minute and a half, like, 3-minute song.
I can't sing it.
But like your best couple verses that you could make, like at least maybe 5. We'll say 3 to 5 verses.
3
Fair
to
enough?
5 verses.
If
You
you
gotta
want
give you a minute.
if you want to throw in a chorus, you could throw in a chorus. But if you want, I can give you an example of how I would interact with Jason in this
Okay,
case, because
you and
that's
Jason.
only the other like villain we could do. I guess you could say Leatherface, but Leatherface kind of talks.
Yeah.
kinda
Hit me in the head, Grandpa.
That's his debut album, Hit Him in the Head, Grandpa. So mine would be like, oh Jason, why do you need to kill me? Why are you so furious and angry at me? It wasn't me that had sex while you died. It was those teenagers that died so long ago. Don't listen to your mom. You're cool, Jason, for he's See, but in that case, he would still probably kill me because it didn't. He's not knowing what I'm doing. So what would you say to Michael?
This is Halloween. This is Halloween. Halloween. Like throw something and run.
That's far more logical than mine. Because I would take the moment to just okay, let me set up a box here.
I gotta get my speaker.
Yeah, these trash cans will work as
Jay-
drums.
Hey Jason, you got a microphone, right? Because you're the one telling me I gotta sing.
Just,
So.
by chance, do you play bass? I can do. No, okay, it's fine. It's fine. I didn't think you knew how to play bass. You've been in the lake most of your life.
You were probably down there just patting away. You're a drummer. Like patting away underneath there, right?
But I should have done it to the tune of "Blister in the Sun," though. Like. Jason, go back into that lake. Jason, go back into the.
Like, please don't kill me now. Cause I gotta run before he stabs me in my back, and I need to run.
Oh my God!
Man, I really hope he's a hack.
Do you want to add more to what you would do to Michael? Or are you pretty confident with that?
I was pretty confident with that.
I'll accept it. You can always do it to the tune of Under Pressure.
Yeah.
Just like you would sit him down in a living
He's
room.
just like, sing me a song now. Under pressure. Pushing down on me. Pushing down on you.
Maybe.
He's just like, I had so much pressure.
And then you're just hugging Michael. It's okay.
I got you. Lori's a bitch. I get it. I know.
I just want to kill her.
I know, she could just it's okay. Do you need to sing about it?
Everything yet, it doesn't even matter. I tried so hard.
It's like, straight, just let it out. Just let it out. Let's go get candy. It's Halloween. Let's go get candy.
That's the Halloween movie we need to make. That's. I don't think any fans would be pissed at that.
No, they would love it. Halloween kills, more like Halloween's with skills.
So that is called Horror Musical. So if you are listening and you have a song that you would sing to Michael or Jason or maybe just to any of your favorite horror icons, well, I want to know what that song is. Let us know. Shoot us out a tweet on our Twitter @officialprhp, or give us a shout out on Instagram and let us know what your song would be. And hell, if you want to record it and you're cool with that, we'll even post it up on our page. So thank you again for sitting through that. So,
yeah, our god awful singing.
That's okay. It's not. Look, man, we're not trying out for American Idol. We're just trying to put smiles on people's faces.
That's fair.
So, yeah, like I would make a Simon Cowell joke, but God, isn't that outdated?
Yeah. Yeah, he's not even relevant.
Oh,
snap. Boom.
Boom. Well, I guess he's like a judge on the X Factor. Whoever watches, I mean,
What?
The X Factor? That's the one where they have like the talent. Isn't that the one? Or no, America's Got Talent.
Yeah.
He's I think he's on like America's Got Talent now. Sorry.
Well, he was. He was the original.
Yeah,
judge for
like
it.
he's like the producer or some shit. Or the idea behind it.
I don't know.
Either
I don't
way.
care enough.
Either way, there's some pretty cool talents. I was thinking about it just because we got to go into the horror articles. But I was thinking about it. That one night that we were playing Battlefront and your coworker joined in on us, and I totally made like a horror backstory to your flame trooper that you were playing as. I was like, that is kind of a talent. Wouldn't that be a thing to see on like America's Got Talent?
All right, so my talent is I can create an entire backstory for some random character. Just throw me something out there.
Give me an object and a person.
It's like, oh, someone just shouts out, "Me in this chair!" All right, I heard Flame Trooper of the Empire.
I could do that though. I could do a dude in a chair. I could totally do a dude in a
I'm
chair.
sure you could.
So all right, I'll do it right now.
Okay.
Backstory is, so the guy's name is John, and he's lived a very simple life, worked really hard, trying to just make his way up into this office firm. It's not a law firm, but it's a basic business, marketing group. And as he's working his way up, his own chair has been giving him lots of discomfort to the fact that he actually threw it away, even though it was still pretty basically new. But the chair was originally made by a gypsy woman who then put a curse on it because she actually ran into John into a previous day where John was rude to her, put a curse on the chair, and now the chair has
He didn't hold the door open.
He didn't hold the door open. Always hold the door open.
Yeah, gypsies are old-fashioned.
So now the chair haunts John, but because John can't point out the fact that the chair is haunting him and going after him, he is being blamed for all the killings that are happening around him. So
What's such a chair that just
so the chair like pushed over John's grandmother down the stairs, and her neck cracks and just blood spurts everywhere as it breaks through the skin. And they're like, "Oh my God, what son would do this to their own mother? You psycho!"
It was a chair!
It's the chair! It's the chair in the 2021 Chair, The Reckoning. Take your seats or beware.
Oh my God. Hey, Jen, you know what? You did it.
Look, man, someone could say that that's a goofy sounding like type of horror movie. They wouldn't see that, but
I'd watch it.
Rubber is the thing.
Yeah, yeah, it's like rubber is a thing.
Rubber.
There is a telekinetic tire that kills people.
Yeah, so no.
Killer tomatoes is a thing.
Killer sofa. Mm-hmm. the killer armchair.
The killer bed. Yep.
Just saying.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Literally, it's a bed that eats you. Just
If you want me to
don't lay
make
on
up,
it.
if you want me to make up a horror movie backstory for you, just tweet at me, or better yet, go on my Instagram @theundeadman. Shout out at me, and I'll make up a horror movie background for you.
He needs a character and an object.
Just need a character and an object. I'll come up with a good one for you. Well, because the one I came up with the Flame Trooper was that was that you were originally like a stormtrooper, but you just got like pelted like in the like opening scene of RoboCop.
Yeah, I got shot the shit up by resistance fighters.
And so, like, even the high advanced future tech that they have wasn't able to really construct your face. But your face always looked back to normal as it was, but you're more, like, traumatized from it. So because you're so traumatized from it, you now stay as a flame trooper burning the flesh off the resistance in order to purify and cure their flesh so you can wear it.
Like, it will be mine! I did go on a 27 kill streak.
See?
It helps. Backstories.
27 pelts. There you go. Alright. Jumping into it, more of the horror as we go down this lane of morbid fun and entertainment. We are going to jump into horror articles. So, obviously, we're just going to let y'all ghouls and gals know kind of some of the things that are sticking out to us that are worth mentioning in horror
going on
this week. So first thing, jumping into it, just because we've been reporting on it, so it makes sense. So I want to continue to report on it. The Lost Boys musical is nearly done, with Malcolm McDowell in talks to play Max, actually.
Oh, cool.
So as reported as well on Bloody Disgusting from John Squires. Originally announced back in 2017, G. Tom Mack, the man behind the Lost Boys theme song, Cry Little Sister, has been in development on a musical based on the 1987's classic vampire film set to be titled A Lost Boy Story, and taking place prior to the events of the film. So to make sure everybody knows, this isn't the show that's coming out. This is a musical of the Lost Boys itself. So
Yeah.
I know I kind of just said that, but just to again clarify. So speaking with the Sci-Fi Wire this week, the musician updates on the project reveals that Malcolm McDowell himself of A Clockwork Orange and Halloween is currently in talks to play head vampire Max. G. Tom Mack also tells Sci-Fi Wire that the musical is nearly done and that the young actor J.D. McCrary of The Lion King has already been cast as movie character Lottie. At 17 to 18 years old, David hits the road, and that's when he picks up the other vampires and basically creates a family with the three other guys. Mack explained in the plot of the musical, they all came from different walks of life in middle America, the Midwest, Arizona, and then they head to California. That's when all the good stuff starts. We try to take a twist whereby we know the story of the movie, but we don't know how it all got there. And in the musical, we do it. It's very much a story of immortality, but it's also a story about how people in their 20s think they're immortal anyway. It kind of runs that parallel of pop culture. The musical itself, A Lost Boys Story, is potentially supposed to be hitting Broadway in 2022, so obviously we're just a little bit of ways away. Mm-hmm. But if you don't want to wait, you can actually already listen to all the musical's songs through Spotify right now. So again, you just want to look up A Lost Boys Story, and yeah, so you can listen to that music. So yeah, Lost Boys musical, fantastic. So Lost Boys isn't dying anytime soon, it looks like.
Guess not, man.
So,
Things have been around forever.
It's staying alive. It's staying alive. But from other things that we find beloved and we just love in general, Keanu Reeves is writing a violent comic called Berserker, which, to clarify, is spelled Brzrkr, featuring a warrior that looks, well, like Keanu Reeves. Go figure.
No, I just want my Mad Max and John Wick crossover.
That's all we want.
That's all it's gonna be.
That's all you need. Beloved actor himself is entering the world of the comic books in the upcoming 12-issue series, Berserker, which was also reported by USA Today. Reports a violent action tale starring, well, yeah, again, Keanu Reeves. The limited series will be released through Boom Studios, with issues coming out monthly beginning on October 7th. Reeves is hard at work writing the tale with Matt Kint. And it's described in the following as Berserker centers on a warrior who looks a lot like a certain beloved actor and has walked a blood-soaked path across the world for centuries. In present day, the Berserker does dangerous jobs for the U.S. government in exchange for the truth about his existence. This was it said also in the report done by Blood Disgusting by John Squires also. Alessandro Vitti is also illustrating the series, which could make the leap to the big or small screen. Reeves notes during the chat with USA Today that he'd love to play the character. I mean, of course, if you're writing it, why wouldn't you love to be the character? But yeah, like I said, keep your eyes open for October 7th. That's when the first issue might be dropping, so just otherwise you can search up Berserker right now and kind of follow it on your own. Not much else is known about it at the moment though, but the artwork that you can find on Bloody Disgusting for it is really cool. It's I mean, I'm open to it. Why the hell not? I've gotten to the point with comic books where I have oddly stopped reading as much about the superheroes that I love and more just kind of falling into the indie, more creepy stuff I can find.
Oh my god, man! I've been trying to find like horror comics and stuff because like as much as I do, I've fallen hard out of like reading the comics based off of like heroes that I love and so much, mostly because like I don't know the disappointment of Batman's wedding,
right?
And then just for whatever reason, it's been super hard to find like any of the new Superman stuff. Like I don't know why I can't find it. I'm not looking that hard, but and then everything that happened with Captain America there for a bit kind of burned me a little too bad.
Well, and it's honestly...
And it's just... Well, I was going to say... But what I'm also looking for is more horror comics. Because I got into Hellboy pretty good. I started reading Crossed, and that shit was tight.
Told you.
I read the Nosferatu prequel comic. That thing's freaking great. Yeah. It's a creepy-ass read. But, like, I don't know. It's been hard to... I've been, like, doing that, too. Like, stemming off from my main stuff, except for the side stories like Injustice.
Yeah,
I love it just because it's cool seeing a dictator Superman.
I've just been going to read comics online and looking through their horror selection to try and figure out what I want, and I've literally just been using read comics as a way to just preview. And so, like, I've kind of gotten it if I can get through 3 and 5 issues of a comic and still being super interested in it, then I'll keep going. Like, it was great when we have Drew Edwards talking to us, because now we know of Halloween Man, and so that's definitely filling a niche as well. Or not a niche, an itch, excuse me, an itch that I've had for it. So, man, so we'll see how it goes. That being said, though, jumping into other things that are just kind of alright. Gremlins, Secrets of the Mogwai. So, as you may know, Gremlins is getting more content for itself. They are keeping the tail going. Well, cameos are being teased for Gremlins, but just so you're aware, for anyone who was wondering, Howie Mandel is not voicing Gizmo this time. If you didn't know that already, also. I just found out before we recorded. So, Warner Media's upcoming animated series, Gremlins, Secret of the Mogwai, is set to be a prequel to the 2 films, with the half-hour series set in the 1920s Shanghai and telling the story of how 10-year-old Sam Wing met the young Mogwai called Gizmo. Along with teenage street thief Elle, Sam, Gizmo take a perilous journey, through the Chinese countryside, encountering and sometimes battling colorful monsters and spirits from Chinese folklore. On their quest to return Gizmo to his family and uncover a legendary treasure, they are pursued by power-hungry industrialists and his growing army of evil gremlins. Because it would not be a Gremlins story if it wasn't there. The series is likely going to premiere on HBO Max sometime in 2021. An executive producer writer, Sit Chun, provides some minor updates in the new chat with Geek Vibes Nation. For starters, Howie Mandel is still not returning to Gizmo. We will have some casting announcements soon, Chun told the site. He then teased, there is definitely going to be some exciting cameos from people. What has been really exciting is that Joe Dante is consulting producer on the project. He looks at scripts, he looks at the artwork. It's been really amazing. Chun also touched up what we can expect from the series, telling the site we will see evil Mogwai. But I think that is as much as I can say for it right now. But what we really wanted to do was create more stories set in the Gremlin universe. We also wanted to service the fans. You know, the fandom for Gremlins is so strong for the movies and have been around for almost 40 years now. We definitely have a lot of Easter eggs in Gremlins mythology that hopefully will satisfy long-term fans while also bringing in new fans. So, if you have HBO Max, you have nothing to worry about. It'll be available next year, but until then, that is all we know for the moment of what's happening with Gremlins.
Cool.
So, that's it to report on today. Just so we could jump in today's content as well as listener participation, is Don Mancini's Chucky the TV series is coming to USA and Sci-Fi in 2021. So we reported on this a few months ago. The original Child's Play franchise is headed to the small screen with the upcoming Chucky, which now comes from the creator Don Mancini and Channel Zero mastermind Nick Antosca. And we've learned today that the series is going to be airing on both USA and Sci-Fi in 2021. Well, while we wait, Mancini did share a little bit of a teaser, basically saying that Chucky has been described as a fresh take on the franchise that will explore Chucky's character with a depth that is uniquely offered by a television series format. After a vintage Chucky doll churns up at a suburban yard sale, an idyllic American town is thrown into chaos as a series of horrifying murders begin to expose the town's hypocrisies and secrets. Meanwhile, the arrival of enemies and allies from Chucky's past threats to expose the truth behind the killings, as well as the demon's doll's untold origins as the seemingly ordinary child who somehow became this notorious monster. With this TV show, our mission is and has been to preserve the straightforward scariness of the original film or the first couple of films, but at the same time continue on with this ever-expanding tapestry of consistent story that we've spun over the course of 7 movies and 30-some years. I think fans are really going to love to see the new characters that we introduced into this realm and just how they came off our classic characters. Not just Chucky, but some of the others that you may be hoping to see, there's a good chance they may turn up here. Mancini also explained to Sci-Fi Wire back in May. So, Jennifer Tilly is, on the particular note, has already confirmed that she will be back for the series, so we can take confidence in that. And Mancini did also follow up with teasing in his chat with Sci-Fi Wire that I think the prospect of seeing Chucky sharpen his skills and add to his toolbox some of the technical goodies that we have at our disposal now, that's something I think people will find pretty interesting. It's so important to give Chucky new weapons, new strategies, new targets, and new goals. Chucky has a different goal in the TV show than he's ever had before, and it's specifically something that is designed to invoke something that's going on in the zeitgeist today. So, I mean, man, I'm open to this. I know, like, the Chucky franchise in itself, it's just such a, I mean, you have proclaimed your love for it more than once.
Oh, yeah.
And your excitement for it, but I know that there's so many fans that just, even that kind of dialogue makes them uneasy because they're like, well, if you wanted to keep with it, why even mess with it in general? Well, I agree. New motivations, new strategies do expand on the character, and I'm for it, man. I'm willing to give it a go. I'm willing to see what it's like. We'll see how it does on Sci-Fi and USA because there are going to be kind of some censors that they have to work around.
Yeah, I mean, that's my biggest gripe is just, like, the networks that they're on.
Yeah.
Is, like, I just feel like, things when it comes to, like, horror franchises, especially one that has been as bloody as the Child's Play, like, series and stuff like that, it needs to be on a like, I don't know, I'd say streaming service or AMC, because AMC gets away with a lot of gore.
Oh god,
like realistic gore.
Creature is a fact for that.
Yeah, and it's like realistic gore. While like on Sci-Fi, there's a lot of gore on there, but you can tell the Sci-Fi originals. It's like
we know.
Yeah, it's Sci-Fi gore.
We're Megalodon versus Mega Shark or Mega Crocodile, whatever.
So even the movies that I love so much, the Sharknado movies, the gore is pretty schlocky. So that's not my only nervousness about it. Otherwise, like, it's the original creators, man. Whatever if they want to like tweak their creation and stuff like that, they can tweak it. Whatever. I'm excited.
And Jennifer Tilly's gonna be part of it. So.
Yeah, that too. Like, it has all the original, like, most of the original people. I'm excited to see how it goes.
There's far more reasons to be hopeful it's great than it is to doubt that it will.
Especially if you hated the remake, which I liked. I actually liked the remake.
Yeah, I watched the remake. I liked it too, man. Yeah. Like, it kept with the traditions of, like, the over-the-top kills.
Yeah.
And so, like, like, the one scene that immediately made me appreciate it was the killing of the creepy dude in the basement.
Yeah, man, that shit was insane.
Yeah, where he gets his leg sawed off and whatnot. Like, that was tight. Like, it made me think of that kill of John Waters in Seed of Chucky. It made me think of the other prior kills in Child's Play too, where it was just like over the top and brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind that was the 80s and what have you, but still, point being is that it had that same theme of just like these creative like kills that are kind of like do the camera that like Final Destination does. You know?
Like they really, and I like the fact that they really ran with the whole AI thing. Because there's some movies that like touch on like, oh, it's an evil AI that can control the technology, and it's like, I locked the door on you.
Well, and Mark Hamill did do a really good job.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's Mark Hamill.
He knows how to play psychos.
Yeah, it's like fucking he did great. And I just, like I said, also just the fact that they ran with the AI, didn't just lock doors like they usually do when that shit kind of happens. Like, Chucky fucking took over an entire car. car. He was taking over drones. Like
Yeah.
it ran with the whole like
Because
crazy.
it makes
AI.
sense. Like it would have made sense if they kept with the original Chucky.
Yeah.
So that's why I give. And like honestly, the reimagining for him was more within good taste because it was actually trying to complement the
Yeah.
original series, and like I don't think in any way it was trying to overtake it or be like, this is Chucky now. This is just like,
No.
hey, this is how it could be modernized.
Yeah, that's
Like,
what I got from it.
Yeah,
I thought
and
it was
that-
a good modernization.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like I don't think it deserves as much flack as it got.
No.
But then again, I went on my rant before about people who are just like, oh yeah, the movie's dumb.
Yeah.
Like I hate, I hate those criticisms. Like if you like how
It's
I'm doing right
just
now.
dumb.
I like the movie too, and I'm following up with reasons I actually like. If you don't like it, follow up with the reasons why you don't like it. I get tired of people that are just saying like, oh yeah, it was boring. Talk about a snooze fest, or reply with gifs of like, chocolate ice cream and whatnot,
Yeah.
implying that it's shit and whatnot. And I'm just like, just because you're closed-minded to it doesn't make it bad. It just means that you're not open-minded enough to appreciate a film of this caliber.
And if you didn't like it, you could just say it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, and that's totally fine. Because the fact of the matter is that the Nun isn't my thing, but I have far more reasons why it sucks. And I
Or
can
Eli.
don't even get me started again. Or Sinister 2.
Yeah.
That one's the one that really confuses me. I don't know how anyone sees Sinister 2. It's just like, how this movie is great. Yeah, because the pinnacle of terror at that point is just like, hey, you want to go watch this movie now? I guess. God. I hate things sometimes, man.
I know, man.
I hate things.
I know.
It frustrates me, but it's okay. It's part of being part of this community, and I acknowledge it because it is part of the community, and because it's another part of the community that I do love. The fact that we can talk about this stuff. All I'm just asking is that if you're gonna discredit something, at least follow up with why you don't like it.
That's true.
You know?
So, speaking of talking about things that you don't necessarily like, but you actually have admitted that it's like, you know what? It's just not my thing. Let's talk about their musicals.
So sorry about that. We do have listener
Because-
participation
Oh,
too,
yeah.
also today. No call-ins, but that is totally okay. We really want the call-in things to kind of build on its own and not be like a forced, hey, you have to do this, or if you want to be a real fan, you have to do this. It's just that is. If you want to be a part of the call-ins, then all you have to do is just comment on our Instagram posts, and you will randomly get picked to be called in to hang out with us on the show. So, yeah, with that in mind, though, we still have a good chunk of actual comments to go through on a listener participation. So, I can go off the Twitter if you want, otherwise, unless you got the Facebook up.
Yep, over here on the Book of Faces.
Book of Faces.
Our question was Ghouls, Gals, Creeps, and Mutants. This weekend we are diving into and discussing the history of horror musicals, and we'll be picking one answer to call. So, we just wanted to know, what is your favorite horror musical? And so, Audrey said, as much as I love Little Shop of Horrors, Repo, the Genetic Opera is the best. Lots of gore. Anthony Stewart head is amazing, and Paris Hilton's face falls off. Yeah, that was so good. What more could you ask for? Very true. Lauren, Little Shop of Horrors. That was my favorite growing up in Phantom of the Opera. So many memories with my mom watching these films. Also, Rocky Horror Picture Show. James, I'm going to have to agree with the Rocky Horror Picture Show is just pure perfection. Lauren re-commented, I forgot about Mr. Todd. Damn, add that to my other favorite. And Mimi said Sweeney Todd. Mimi, my.
It's a Maya.
Maya, okay. My.
Our sweet, awesome intern, Amaya. Thanks, Amaya.
Yep.
So with that in mind, also going over to our Twitter, same question to all of our Twitter folks. Crash Palace at Crash Palace, excuse me, did reply, The Lure, The Devil's Carnival, and The Dead Inside. 2 or 3, which we have already reviewed, are going to be.
Yeah, I know. I was like, hey, The Lure, someone actually shouted that out.
Yeah!
What's up?
The Lost Man at Lost Man 94. Phantom of the Paradise. Love the songs, creative take on Phantom of the Opera, and Jessica Harper with lovely emojis afterwards. The Wicker Man. The music is great, Christopher Lee is great, and it really captures everything that is fun and terrifying about folk horror right up through Midsommar. Not the remake, though. So, which, by the way, I did not expect Wicker Man kind of being thrown into that. And so
Yeah.
when I thought more about it, I was like, there is an odd amount of, like, musicality to that
Yeah,
one, huh?
I guess. Yeah, with all the chants and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
don't know if I would say
It's not like Broadway theatrical type music. So
but you know what?
we'll count it.
We'll count it.
We asked for your opinions, so it is counted.
And there isn't any bees.
There is no bees. Flash apart. Rocky Horror Picture Show is the pick from Ryan L. Terry at RL Terry1. It was such a great breakthrough work of avant-garde cinema for the LGBT community. Also, I love 2014 musical Stage Fright. It takes the slasher idea and crafts a clever musical.
I actually almost did that one.
Rocky Horror?
No, Stage Fright.
Oh, okay. I was going to say,
trying to find it.
who doesn't know Rocky Horror?
No, I was trying to find Stage Fright.
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. From Invasion of the Remake at Invasion Remake, The Devil's Carnival. It's by the same writer as Repo. The sequel, Alleluia.
Hallelujah.
Sorry.
Hallelujah.
I was saying it literally as I was reading it at the same time, trying to hope to process it
No, it's
properly.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah! It was okay too, but not great. Stage Fright was great too. Minnie Driver and Meatloaf. How can you go wrong? And I agree. Meatloaf and Minnie Driver is a combination I didn't know I needed.
That's why I was trying to find Stage Fright, because I was like, if I can do a good review about this, I think Matt will like it.
Know Nothing Nerds at KN Nerds. Repo, the Genetic Opera. Anthony Stewart Head is the reason why. And I gotta agree, Anthony Stewart Head does make a lot of that movie. Mm-hmm. And lastly, from Howard Kastner at Howard Kastner, Little Shop of Horrors and Anna and the Apocalypse.
Yes! I was hoping someone would say that, because that is now my favorite horror musical ever since I watched it.
So, for me, I can't really give away what my favorite is without giving away what my Friday review is. So, actually, but I talking to you last night, I did realize there's like three more that I do like.
Yeah.
Which is obviously Rocky Horror and Little Shop of Horrors are two of like my favorites, but one that I kind of like to just throw in there just because I can, and there's a small moment of music, is Deathgasm. So, I love Deathgasm. There's a point where they're using the power of metal to fight the undead hordes of evil.
Yeah,
So,
that's good.
So I count it for everything. I mean, it's not musical throughout, but hey, man, that's what you're getting with me.
Yeah.
So,
No,
but
fair enough.
Do you have a favorite horror one that I didn't already mention?
You know what? Honestly, I'm kind of surprised no one put Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh my God!
No one said Nightmare Before Christmas in the comments.
Technically, yeah, it's a horror musical.
It's a horror-themed musical.
Holy shit! We're disappointed in all of you now.
Yeah, and like, I know someone's gonna be like, oh, it's not really, it's all about happiness. There's nightmare. The main character's a skeleton.
Again, literally an undead skeleton kidnaps Santa, the symbol of hope and joy for all children. For
Who's
the most part.
almost sacrificed to death by a giant thing of bugs in a sack.
Yeah. The literal boogeyman tries to kill Santa.
Yeah.
Via torturing with a gambling addiction first.
So,
if it wasn't for the fact that the boogeyman didn't have a terrible gambling addiction, he probably would have killed him a lot sooner.
would have killed Santa.
But instead, because he has a gambling addiction, he has to run him through his stupid gizmos.
So yeah, I'm actually really surprised no one said Nightmare Before Christmas. I was like, especially Lauren.
Wow.
That was a surprise.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that. I didn't really realize that either.
Yeah.
Oh,
It's because everyone has joy from it, not horror.
I was more willing to say that there was too many people in our generation that ruined it.
That's right. That was the thing in our high school. Oh my God, it was either Nightmare Before Christmas or Twilight.
One of Hot Topic's hottest selling items.
I know.
Anything Nightmare Before Christmas. Anything. You want a Jack Skellington dildo? Here you go.
Yeah, basically. Spencer's! Anyways, moving on.
Continuing with the Christian field, very, polite humor that you can just play anywhere.
Yeah, basically. We're going to continue on and talk about the history of horror in musicals.
Horror in musicals.
To talk about that, though, we actually have to talk about horror in theater in general.
Dun-dun-dun.
Dun dun dun. So, the history of horror in theater actually dates all the way back to ancient Egypt, around like 700 BC. That's where theaters kind of dated back to, and it's
Yeah.
most of the theater plays that people have been able to like put together from like what was back then was mostly like about the gods and how the gods created the world, or how the gods will like hurt you if you don't do as they say. And then, but modern theater didn't really get its base until ancient Greece around 700 BC.
Oh yeah, I also remember that musical of Hunter and Tucker, the two, Egyptians who are getting tired of how they're being treated at work.
The two Boston Egyptians.
There they are. There it is. Hey, yo!
Hey, Pharaoh!
Oh, Tucker, how you doing? It's another hot one, am I right?
I'm gonna go out here and build more damn pyramids, eh?
Hey, gotta build the pyramids. We're gonna get whipped. Don't want to get whipped, do we?
No whips on us.
No whips today. That's what I'm talking about. Not this year. God forbid. God forbid. Anubis forbid. Anubis forbid. Am I right? I'm right. Hotter than a mummy's tail. You feel me?
So, oh my god, that smelled terrible.
Hey, yo.
Mummy's fucking swamp ass.
Hey, I'm growing here.
Emo tab.
Emo tab. More like emo. Can you please increase the AC in this pyramid?
Shut the fuck up. So, the musicals based off of Tucker there were so most of the time there weren't really musicals back then. It was like plays and everything, and most of the plays were based around the myths and tragedies of the time, just like nowadays with our movies and stuff. But like back then, there was lots and lots of angry gods and family deaths, and most of the horror actually took place off of stage during these productions. So what they would do is they would have someone just come on stage while the actors disappeared just before the event, and he'd be like, so the lady was horribly disemboweled, like they would go in to describe the act.
Yeah.
So they wouldn't act it on stage, they'd describe it.
They would like do the exposition before like actually following through with the play.
And then they would come back on stage and do the after effects, so they'd never
Okay.
see the horror on stage.
Oh, okay. So that's how they censored
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that was the censor. They just have some dude like tell a story about how they were disemboweled on stage.
Like, oh yeah, and so then like she got like hit really hard, right? But like hard enough that the baby just went, kind of like that.
Yep, and then Anubis would come up and eat the soul of the baby.
See, that's
and
where the Boston Egyptians, because
Yeah.
one of them would be wearing a wig and have like the fake like belly to pretend they're like pregnant. Be like,
Hey yo, I'm a pregnant lady.
Actually, you know what's funny? Is back then they would have men play the women on stage and stuff like that. Like during Shakespearean times. So that is what they would
see,
do.
I'm only being accurate.
Yep. So there's not a whole lot of, like stuff back then, but some notable pieces that came out of that time period is Medea by Euripides, Oedipus the King by Sophocles.
Excuse you, sir. This is a G-rated podcast.
The hell it is. And the book
we don't allow that type of language here.
and the book Chai by Euripides.
All right, I'll let you do it now. I'll let you do it.
And so, horror in theater didn't really involve much until London, 1500s, which is where Shakespeare and Marlowe, which are the two of the biggest playwrights, came about and became popular and everything. And so, when you think about it, man, a lot of Shakespeare's plays had a lot of elements of horror.
Yeah.
Like, a lot. There was some necromancy, witchcraft, murder, torture, incest, cannibalism, everything. There's even horrific creatures, like with they used fawns, they used all kinds of like different creatures of like folklore and stuff like that back then. Sirens and stuff, like all kinds of stuff in Shakespeare's like art. Like it's really surprising. Like again, it's surprising to see how much horror has played into like pop culture. Like again, just talking about Shakespeare, how much of horror elements like were in his plays.
Yeah.
Like it's freaking cool, and no one really thinks about that because you think Shakespeare. Oh, yeah, I'm going to a play. And it's like, and yeah, because in the
my heart.
endeth, it doesn't even death matter.
Cause my heart is in Othello.
And so no. Yeah,
Sorry.
you're good, but like, and so some notable pieces that came out of that time: Macbeth, Titus Andronicus, both by Shakespeare, and Dr. Faustus by Marlowe. And then horror in theater actually had I feel like had the biggest influences and had the craziest things coming out of Japanese horror.
Yeah.
Which is the No theater, N-O-H. No theater began in the 14th century. It is a hyper-stylized presentation of supernatural stories involving entities and demons taking human form. Most stories often involve the spirit seeking vengeance. The style of theater also used masks to depict the characters, a form of theater that is still performed to this day. So like the demon masks and stuff. So
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah,
and like they do like the kind of honestly, it makes me think of believe it or not, the Avatar: Last Airbender. That one episode. I don't even know if you've got to it yet, but there's an episode where like. They go to this theater in a part of the nation because I'm trying to like not spoil anything.
is it in Ba Sing Se?
No.
Okay.
It's after that. So I'm
still in Ba Sing Se.
it doesn't spoil anything for you, but like they.
Appa. I found Appa.
Yeah, you're still a little ways away from it. But basically, they go and like see this play be about them, and it's in what you're talking about.
Yeah.
The no
With
theater,
the mass.
where like they and like to like show like the fire bending when they're using like streamers.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
exactly
yeah.
where this came from.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
that's
like
exactly where it all came
that's
from.
how I was trying to like just picture it in my head. Explain
Yep, that's
that.
exactly what it is. So that's No theater and also Kabuki theater. So Kabuki theater started around the 1600s and started involving dance, music, and very intricate costumes. This is kind of like the precursor of musicals, basically. It dealt with themes of murder, suicide, revenge, and ghostly interactions. This is also, cool enough, the Kabuki theater and everything is like the archetypes for a lot of modern Japanese horror. Like, for instance, the costumes for the the yurei were depicted as women wearing white kimonos with long black hair covering their faces. Who does that sound like?
I don't know.
Yeah, that sounds like Samara from The Ring and the chick from The Grudge. You know?
And they look very different.
But but like that's exactly what they were based off of. Now this time also Bunraku puppet theater came about. It used 4-foot tall puppets to tell tales of tragedy and like suicide pacts. And Buto is a form of dance theater that came from the chaos of the nuclear bombs in World War II depicted. And it was depicted through intense facial expressions and bodily distortions to represent the darkness of these events. You can actually find then they're all like quick little small plays. You can actually find these on YouTube. They're fucking crazy. And then they get really, really intense.
Yeah.
So some notable pieces are Yotsuya Kaiden by Tsuruya Nanobuku IV, The Love Suicides at Mijima by Chikamatsu. That play also is considered one of the first dark humor plays too, that more modernized dark humor plays because there's a lot of comedy in it.
Okay.
And then Lady Aoi traditional no plays. That's just what's considered a traditional no play, like you would do over and over again. So for instance, like an iconic American play that everyone would always do, I think, is like The Music Man. That's like something that would used to say, that's just an American play. And so then horror in theater had a huge boom in between the 1800s and 1940. This is the time frame where most of our modern horror is inspired by. Russia created naturalistic theater, where the horror is more realistic, where humans and the humanity is the cause of all the tragedies. For instance, Tolstoy's The Power of Darkness deals with a lot of murder, incest, and infanticide in more real-world settings. So there's not like all this supernatural instances. It's like it's a terrible human being causing all this.
Yeah.
Or like your own personal choices causing all this. And then Eastern Europe dealt with real-world horrors more creatively and used a lot more expressionism. So that's like making everything super over the top. For instance, and this especially helped German filmmaking. Because German filmmaking created iconic movies like Nosferatu and The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. And they got all their inspirations from from expressionism in theater and everything. And then early to mid 1800s saw a boom of horror theater in London and the U.S., most notably adaptations of Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Meaning there's a lot of different interpretations of the Frankenstein. A lot of them.
Never heard of any of them.
But the most influential one, and one that would like blow a lot of people's minds, because like if you saw the original movie with the green skin Frankenstein and the whole crazy scene of like it's alive and everything, it actually came out of a on-stage theater play first. Henry Milner's The Man and the Monster was the most influential adaptation by introducing the silent monster and being the first to show the iconic birth of the monster scene and using the line "It lives."
It lives.
It's which became the version of the Universal monster movie that we all got to see. And then Hamilton Dean's adaptation of Dracula is arguably the most influential horror play ever created, because it opened on Broadway in 1927 to huge success, and it introduced Bela Lugosi's Dracula and the structure for Universal's films.
Oh man.
Yeah, so it's like the basis of all the monster films and everything. Even though the Frankenstein kind of came first, this one became the most influential for everything.
I think it's honestly, man. I didn't really think that there was that much like rooted history for like musicals and horror.
Yeah.
Just saying,
Yeah, man.
again, we've been making the case since we started, in 2017, is that horror is a lot more influential than it's given credit for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. And then gets even crazy. So France went fucking haywire with everything. They went crazy with their theater programs.
Well, based off the horror movies they make, I'm not too surprised.
Yeah. So they had the surrealism movement that was spearheaded by Antonin Artaud and his theater of cruelty.
Cruelty.
Yeah, his plays would assault all your senses, and he would use like all kinds of different techniques to make you as a human being feel uncomfortable while watching this show.
He would actually throw cow essence at someone.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. They did a lot of stuff. Like, he would use brighter lights than normal. Like, it would be just a little bit brighter just to make you uncomfortable.
Like
There'd
sensory.
sensory deprivation stuff. He would, like, have the theater. So, like, where your seats are and then where the stage is, he would, like, make it a little askew. So, like, you people would be sitting, like, just a little uncomfortable. Like, just small things like that to make you feel uncomfortable throughout every single play. Like, it was really cool. The biggest thing that helped the boom of horror in theater is in 1984, the Grand... I'm going to destroy this name. Grand Guignol is founded in a chapel. So it is the most famous horror theater throughout history. People would come to Paris to see these short plays that would normally end in incredibly realistic on-set violence. Like, it was super real to everybody, and people all over the world would come. It's kind of like snuff films, like where it's like, it's so real and so like, oh my god, brutal. Like, you just kind of can't avert your eyes, and a bunch of people wanted to come see it. It was known for audience members were known to faint and vomit from the intensity of these plays. There were even some accounts of couples getting so aroused from the intense sex scenes on stage that they would actually rent a booth to go bone, which used to be an old confessional.
Booth to bone.
Yeah, basically, they would have a room where couples could rent to go fuck during the performances. Like, it was crazy.
Wow.
It became so popular that politicians, celebrities, and even royalty from all around the world would come to attend these plays.
All around the world, she's wanting to bone in this booth for me.
Yeah, basically. So a couple more notable pieces are The Power of Darkness by Leo Tolstoy, and of course the plays of André Delorde. He has over 150 plays to his name that were performed in the Grand Guignol. So it was never the same plays. It was always something different. Yeah. So now, coming to modern times, so modern horror theater is like where everyone basically talks about. So in 1973, the Rocky Horror Picture Show opened in London and continues to this day, sort of, when we're allowed to go back outside.
Eventually.
To be a top hit for theater companies. It's always one of the best-selling plays that any theater company can do. In 1979, Stephen Sondheim's musical Sweeney Todd, The Demon Barber of Fleet Street opened on Broadway. and was a huge success. It won a Tony for Best Musical and Best Book and Score. So a horror musical actually got an award, like, for being the best musical. And fun fact, I didn't know about this until now. In the 1970s and 80s, Clive Barker, the Clive Barker, started writing his writing career with his theater company called the Hydra Theater, with the Doug Bradley, who played Pinhead.
Oh shit.
And they would eventually move to London and start their own professional theater company called Dog Company.
Wow. That's nuts, man.
Yep. So that's kind of why I wrapped up. I wanted to end on like a really cool fun fact with that. Like, I didn't know Clive Barker was like into theater and writing plays. He produces, writes, and has his own theater company. Like, I think it's just freaking insane of how much like horror really is like embedded in the history of like theater and musicals. Cause like just some notable like modern day musicals, like for me, the Phantom of the Opera remake, of course, redos of the Phantom of the Opera. Anna and the Apocalypse is my favorite musical right now, and I was so glad someone tweeted that out.
Somebody said it.
Yep. And then, of course, oh my god, I did Little Shop of Horrors. But then, I mean, horror is like is booming in musicals now, like especially in modern musicals, because like we have a live Broadway adaptation of Reanimator, where one of the actors who stars in it, he plays what's the main guy's name? The doctor.
Oh shoot.
Henry.
I'll have to actually look real quick. But go ahead and keep going.
But yeah, he plays him. I got most of my stuff from a really, really good article that he wrote on the 13thfloor.tv. He plays the main guy in Reanimator. And we have Evil Dead the musical. That's now a Broadway play. Carrie the musical has just gotten a resurgence. Like, there's all kinds of horror musicals that are becoming a big thing. And it's like insane. And it's really cool. In a genre I never thought horror would really be a part of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally get where you're coming from. And you know, man, again, just like really surprised because I'm not gonna lie to you, the longest time I have accredited musicals to really being kind of like a Disney type of thing, you know?
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't really kind of something that I thought was, you know, a horror thing. Because I guess when I just think horror, I just think that. I just think the gory, in your face, you know, type of stuff that we love. But then if I was gonna adapt music to it, I do think of stuff like Deathgasm, more kind of like,
yeah, you think more like death metal, punk rock, even like hip hop or like hardcore rap would be like for horror, but you wouldn't think like
Dr. West.
Dr. West.
It's either it's Dr. West or Dr. Kane. I think it's Dr. Kane. Dan Kane. Yes, Dan Kane.
No, he plays Herbert West in the musical.
Oh yeah, no, you're correct. Yeah, no, it's Bruce Abbott did Kane. No, it is West. I don't know why I got tripped up there. My bad.
But yeah, no. So yeah, they're just. Well, there you have it, ghouls, gals, creeps, and mutants. I actually hope you like that little history lesson on how horror has been influential in theater and then moving on to musicals and everything.
Ah, yes. And if you want to keep up with everything that we're doing and even share some of your thoughts about horror musicals, you can do that over on our Facebook. Just follow us, like us, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, or on our Twitter at OfficialPureHP, or
on Instagram, Punk Rock Horror Podcast, hashtag PRHP Podcast.
You can also follow me on Instagram at The Undead Matt. If you'd like to support the show financially, you can go over to our Patreon right now and become a patron, and you will get exclusive rewards to yourself. Some of those rewards are access to content before they're released. You can also get your own discount code that you can use on merch on teespring.com. This discount code does give you the ability to have up to 10 to 50% off all merch and does stack with promotions as well. You also will, depending how high you go up in the tiers, you can get access to a mystery horror box. This horror box is customized, painted, and made exclusively for you with a thank you note written from us. With the pandemic in, numbers being the issue, we are taking extra precautions to prepare these boxes to make sure that they are health friendly and health safe. But you do get a bunch of cool little gifts in there, along with a mystery DVD horror movie that we reviewed recently. And I can't say it's going to be DVD. It could also be Blu-ray. If you have a preference, I will have that dialogue with you when you sign up for it. But either way, you get this really cool mystery box. And if you don't want to do that, but we just want to buy some merch from us, please go to our teespring.com/punkhardcore podcast. We have new merch on there. Codyzilla is still up. I think at the time, I could be wrong. Either the discount code for it, the promotion is now up, sadly, so you can't get 15% or more on it, but I would still check. If so, that promotional code is available on our Instagram as well, so just make sure you're following it there. Ghouls, Gals, Creeps, Mutants, thank you again so much for hanging out with us and letting us talk about horror with you, and thank you for sharing us and continuing to support the show. It means the world to us, especially when we add new things to it and hope that they work out. Alrighty then, Ghouls, Gals, Creeps, Mutants alike, we will talk horror with you next time.